What's going on? It's R2 Moditu. Just haven't said that for a while. Conan Librarian here. I picked up another collection of books, like somebody's personal collection. I don't think it was the person that I bought it off. I don't think it was their personal collection. I think they just acquired them as well. But sci-fi and fantasy is the name of the game today. I don't think there's any horror in here, but I did separate these into lots because there was a fucking lot of them. I believe I've got all the fantasy here, and then there will be a sci-fi one in the next video, which sci-fi was, I think it was about 130 or 140 or something, and then there was about 60 odd fantasy. So we'll see if I've got it separated. So the first one is a gore book, Captive of Gore. This is pretty knackered. It's definitely not one that I could sell. Certainly one I can read. I have none of my gore books from home here. I do have about 80% of the gore series. I haven't read any of them. I do need to get around to reading them. But yeah, Captives of Gore. They always have just really good artwork on them. By John Norman. I'm pretty sure he's still, well, he's not writing them because he's not alive anymore. But I'm pretty sure the series is still going. Or at least it was going sort of semi-recently. Started in the 60s, I want to say, and it was sort of going into like 2008 to 2010 or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, this is just, I don't know what I'll do with that, but it was in the lot. Same with this one. This one's pretty ratchet, but I will keep it and read it because it does look pretty interesting. It's called Prince Umbra by Roderick McLeish. Spellbinding fantasy of magic and supernatural powers. So it's an old Pan paperback. It's an ex library book from a senior library, so Pembroke Senior. So I'm guessing like a high school, some high school somewhere. Yeah, but it looks all right. Looks interesting enough. It's only a couple hundred pages long, 250 pages. So I'll hold on to that and give it a flick through. So this pile I'm going to keep. The rest, maybe shy of a couple more, I'm going to sell. I want to sell all these books. Eventually, they will go on my Etsy. I want to be more of a bookseller and less of a book hoarder. I'm still going to be a big reader, of course, but I enjoy selling books, so I want to sell more of these books. But I was looking for a copy of this. So this is a bloody great cover. This is a fantastic cover. I've never seen this cover. This is Redwall by Brian Sharks. How amazing does that look? That looks really cool. So I will be keeping this one because I've got the second one in my book room. So want to give that a go sometime soon. Keeping this one. This is Terry Carr, The Year's Finest Fantasy Volume 2, just because it's got some, just short fantasy stories. Sometimes they're a good palate cleanser for, in between bigger books. Oh, crikeys. I don't want to keep this one. I don't know why I've got this, but in my keep pile. But this is Secret of the Sixth Magic by Lyndon Hardy. I think that was just there by mistake, but I got that one. Holly Isle, Curse of the Black Heron, a novel of the Bard's Tale. It's a Bane. It's an old school Bane. Very thin Bane. So that's really cool. Obviously got to keep that. This one sounds really interesting. The Anubis Gate by Tim Powers. It's ancient Egyptian magic. It reaches London of 1810. That's pretty cool. It's got time travel and a bunch of shit. So does sound interesting. This one looks really good, and it's a trilogy. So this is The Three Damsels, a magical glimpse into Arthurian fantasy. So I had to keep it. This is really, really, really cool. So It's 3 volumes collected into this one, or 3 stories collected into this one volume. Just trying to figure out what the actual stories are. I don't know. So, okay, so it's collected together in one volume. The 3 books of Vera Chapman's Arthurian trilogy provide a magical glimpse to the legendary age of chivalry. I thought it was going to tell me what the books were. But anyway, it's got really good art. It's Arthurian. It's on all-in-one. You know, you had me at hello. I got a Shadowrun book. This is book 8, Streets of Blood by Carl Sargent and Mark Gascoigne. Sure, why not? Good old Gascoigne. I've got a couple of these. I don't have them all, and they're very, very hard to find. So, play the game. Played the Super Nintendo game when I was younger. I didn't really know what I was doing. So it's probably something I need to revisit because it's just a really cool concept. I think it's like a cyberpunky sort of fantasy, magic, steampunk, futuristic, post-apocalyptic bullshit. I think I covered everything there. This one looked cool, so I keep in this one. This is The Citadel of Fear by Francis Stevens. An old, what is this? Paperback library of New York from 1970. But I think the story's from like 1918. So it's an old story. Cool. And this one I mentioned in my previous video about a Bane book that I really, really, really want to read. This one is called Chicks and Chained Males, edited by Esther Freisner. How awesome is this? Look at this. Chicks and Chained Males. Not chain mail. Chicks and Chained Males. You know what I'm saying? This is fucking great. Absolutely great. Unread. Beautiful condition. Yes. So they are the ones that I'm going to keep, with the exception of that one for some reason. And then the rest, I mean, I might be keeping some of these ones. What are these ones? We got The Way Beneath by Angus Wells. This is the 3rd book of the Kingdoms. This is sort of like a small but larger paperback, trade paperback. It's like in between a trade and a standard paperback. Let me put them up there so I can put these over here. We got this, an Elder Scrolls novel, Lord of Souls by Greg Keyes. I've heard of Greg Keyes. I've heard of Elder Scrolls. I'm not a big Neverwinter Nights fan. I didn't like Skyrim or the other ones in the series. So I have no Oblivion. Like, I have no interest in reading this at all. I'm sure it's got some popularity and there are people out there that want it, so it will eventually go up on my Etsy. This looks like the same picture. It is. Okay, so I've got the paperback version of The Year's Finest Fantasy Volume 2, and then I have the hardcover version of The Year's Finest Fantasy Volume 2. I thought I recognized the hardcover. I recognized the picture. What year? Yeah. I will probably probably sell the hardcover because it would be worth more, I would think. But it's in very nice condition. It looks unread. Beautiful white pages, hardly browning at all. Dust jacket is very boring and plain, but it's there and it's in good condition. So there is that. I think this is just easier for me to read as well, the paperback. We got The Secret Text, Book 1, Holly Liesel. Diplomacy of Wolves. It's got a nice bumpy cover. Ooh. Yeah, there we go. Never heard of it. Can go there. Then we got I already have this, so I do not need it. And it's appropriately titled The Book of Dust. It is Dusty AF. Philip Pullman. This is part of that Golden Compass, is it? Yeah. But it's like a new trilogy or whatever. But I already have this in trade paper, so that I'll wait and try and it'll clean up okay. It's got a bit of dust on it, but I'll wait and try and add it to some others and bundle them together. That's my new thing I'm trying to do at the moment is bundle a bunch together and add to the for the Etsy store. So it costs less for me to send in terms of postage and all that sort of stuff, and you can get more bang for your buck. I already have this, so I'll clean this one up and put this one on Etsy as well. This is Richard LaPlante, Tenji or Tegni. Wow, I always thought it was Tenji or Tengu or whatever, but it's Tegne, probably Tegne. Soul Warrior. Really nice wraparound, full art cover, hardcover, fantasy, fighting fantasy. There you go. We'll start with this pile. We got Jennifer Fallon, The Lion of Senate. Yeah, I have a bunch of Jennifer Fallon. I don't know if I have this one or not. They're all not here with me, so I've got no idea. But this one is book one of the Second Sons trilogy. So probably hold on to that and bundle it together with the rest. We got Liz Williams, The Poison Master. It's got a very interesting cover. Knights of Blood by Catherine Kurtz and Scott McMillan. A rock fantasy. This got a nice shiny cover. I did have a vintage copy of this. This is probably technically vintage, but I had a proper vintage copy of this with an old sort of like yellow cover with a medieval knight on the front of it. I believe this is some sort of like vampire book set in like medieval times. Just trying to think, figure out when it was written. So it was first written in 93. That doesn't sound right because the book that I had, the cover that I had was looked a lot older. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to keep this one because I'm not sure if I've still got the other one. So I'm not too bothered anyway, but that's really cool. We got Valerie Leith, Everin, Book 1, The Company of Glass. Got some really cool random fantasies that I haven't seen before, and that's what I want to try and bundle together and try, because they're getting harder to find, and if I can get all of them together, they're a better sale. We've got The Wanderer here by Cherry Weidler and Katja Raymond. The Wanderer. Is this book one or is it a... So it's like a high fantasy anyway. Doesn't seem to be... Could be just a standalone. I'll figure it out. Now, Greg Keyes. Another Greg Keyes. We just had him before. This is The Black God. I could keep all these fantasy books, but I would not read them. I would like to, 100%. I grew up reading fantasy and stuff like this, but it's just too much. So I might keep this. This is Michael Bishop, Unicorn Mountain. I like unicorns, so there you go. I like fantasy. I like old school fantasy with unicorns in it. And The Last Unicorn is one of my favorite movies ever. So I saw one once too. Saw a unicorn when I was a little kid, and to this day, I stand by my eyes. I saw a unicorn. Anyway, might keep this one. This one actually looks really good. This is an old Ace fantasy. Stephen Brust. Tekla? Yeah, Tekla. This looks really cool. It's got a really nice cover. I'm going to keep that actually. I'm going to put that in that to keep pile. I haven't kept much, so I'm doing all right. I only just heard about these. I picked these up. This is Robert Holdstock, The Bone Forest. This is the Methago wood. I've got 2 copies of this. Both unread. Paperback versions, and I may have heard about these, I may not have heard about this author and this Mathago Wood story, but since picking these up, I've had two people on two different book channels mention this, so I may have to hunt down the first one. This is the fourth one, perhaps. What is this called? Bone Forest. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2. This could be the third in the series. Need to hunt down Mathago Wood. Apparently, if all you read is Mathago Wood, that's okay. So I'm not too bothered about keeping these for now. Oh yeah, I was going to keep Unicorn Mountain. We got The Destiny of the Sword. This is the 7th Sword, Book 3 by Dave Duncan. Really like that artwork. I'm a sucker. If I had all 7 of these in here, I probably would have kept them, because I'm a sucker for this sort of like long series with artwork like this, because they're only like 300 pages. You can knock them out in a couple of days or a couple of sittings. At least that's what I tell myself. Catherine Kurtz, Saint Chamber. This is an old Catherine Kurtz. Volume 2 in the Legends of Chamber of Cooley. Oh, Del Rey. Beautiful. That's really nice. Not going to keep it, but it looks really good. So it's only 2 anyway. Possibly. 1978. First edition, October 1978. But it's a 4th. How can it be a first edition? Nah, it's a 4th printing. It's a 4th printing, 1982. But anyway. Second pile. We got 2 copies of the... what is this? The Atheling. The Atheling by Grace Chewton. The Last Legacy Volume 1. 2 copies. One is better than the other. This one is definitely better than the other. So I could maybe keep this. It's got really nice artwork on there. It's not one I could sell, but I could just give it away with... I like to give away extra books too. If I have ones that just not good enough to sell, but certainly really good to read still, I like to just slip them in the package as well. We got another Jenny Wirtz, Stormwarden, book 1 of the Cycle of Fire. I've read a Jenny Wirtz long time ago. I want to say early 2000s? Yeah, maybe late 90s to early 2000, maybe like 2000. I read a Jenny Wirtz book. I could not tell you what it was called. It's been that long, but yeah, it's the sort of fantasy that I was reading back in the day. So this is really cool. Probably might look into some more Jenny Wirtz back one day, but this is it's got a really cool cover. I like that cover. We'll keep an eye out. Since I've got a lot of backlog now of random fantasy books, so I can try and piece some trilogies together, and it might entice me to want to read them. Eric S. Nyland, Pawn's Dream. Ooh, bit close. Calm down. Yeah. A. Atanasio, Hunting the Ghost Dancer. In this gripping epic of the murderous clash between the last of the Neanderthals and the new emerging race of Homo sapiens. It actually doesn't sound as interesting as I thought. Sarah Douglas. I have read this. Well, the Axe. Yep, I have read this one. Battle Axe. Didn't have this cover though. This cover is mint. Look at that cover. I had the boring old, I think it was like a black cover. Again, this is one of the ones I would have read back in the late 90s. So first come out in 95. I would have read this probably 98 or 99. It was awesome. I remember really enjoying it. I don't remember much about it. It sucks. So maybe I need to go back to it. But I do remember liking it. And then I think I read this, and then I was looking for the next one, but then my friends got me onto the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind, and then ever since I've been obsessed with that series. So that was my life for a good 2-3 years just reading Terry Goodkind stuff. So, yeah. But Battle Axe, this is book 1 of the Axis trilogy by Sarah Douglas. Is she? Yeah, she's Australian. I thought she might have been. That's probably why I read her as well, because I was trying to read, I think Kate Forsyth. Is she Australian as well? I could have just made that up. It might not even be who I'm thinking of. She's born in South Australia. Cool. But that's awesome. That could be a keeper. If I have more, could be a keeper. Fred Saberhagen. This is the first book of Swords. Ooh, I could keep this too. Is this... Okay, so it is the first one, so that's fine. But that's cool. A Dark Journey, the Tenebrae Trilogy, Book 2 by Dave Luckett. Hey, this is... Is this... Is this Ease? Or Wise? You know that game Wise? Ease? There's like... Nah, surely it's not. Somebody tell me. Is this Ease? I don't think it is. But it just sounds really familiar. The Thrall and the Dragon's Heart, Elizabeth H. Boyer. The third of the World of the Alpha novels. I've a lot of these I've never seen before, so it's really cool to get, even though they're like books 1 and 3 and 2 and 5 and 7 and stuff like that. I think that's really cool to be able to have this, because people might be looking for finishing off their collection. So you never know. David Zindel, The Diamond Warriors. This looks like another mid to late 90s fantasy. The name sounds familiar. David Zindel. It's 2007. Wow. First edition paperback. I'm thinking of not this person. I think I'm thinking of that other one I picked up the other day. But anyway. The Diamond Warriors. Cool. What a catch. The Roses of... Whoa. Roazhon. The Roses of Roazhon. Cherith Baldry. Cherith Baldry. The Roses of Roazhon. Come on now. You got to make it so hard for me to say. It's 2004 as well. Cool. We got Shadow Sister by Stephen Marley, a dark fantasy of ancient China. Oh, this could be interesting. China. Hang on, what is this? Ah, this is a third novel. Shadow Sister. So this is the third in the series. I'm guessing the other two are Spirit Mirror and Mortal Mask. That's from 1993. I wonder if I have them. If I have them, I'll probably hold on to these for a little while. Might be alright. Okay. We got Fallen by Tim LeBon. They say LeBon's work is infused with the contemporary realism of Stephen King and the lyricism of Ray Bradbury. Interesting. Who says that? Fangoria says that. Interesting. Is this like book 1 or something? What is this? Fallen. It's from 2008, so it's pretty recent comparatively. Doesn't say if it's part of a trilogy or... He has written 3 other books according to the front of this one, so who knows? Let me know in the comments if you know anything about this. That's got me intrigued. Stephen King and Ray Bradbury. Maybe put that to the side. I might do a bit of research on that. Elizabeth A. Lynn, Dragon's Winter. This is a World Fantasy Award winner. Says who? Oh, maybe this book isn't, but Elizabeth A. Lynn is an award winner. The book is called Dragon's Winter. Okay, cool. We got the last 10. Book 1 of the TN trilogy. The last TN. Corey Daniels. Does this say fantasy? Oh, yeah. Yep. Corey Daniels. This sounds familiar. Sounds familiar anyway. A Rich and Brilliant World of Fantasy. Golden Witchbread by Mary Gentle. Mary Gentle. I have a feeling I have some Mary Gentle. This looks a little bit sci-fi as well because you got some like machines on there. So it could be like magic and technology. I don't know. Whoops. Drinks break. I ate some peanuts earlier and they always like make me choke. Don't you hate it when you're choking on nuts? I choke on nuts all the time. Videssos Cycle, Book 4, Swords of the Legion, Harry Turtledove. But yeah. I had some lizard books from Harry Turtledove, and I wanted to read them, but I never did. And I sold them, so maybe one day. Stephen R. Donaldson, The Second Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, Book 1, The Wonderland. This is an old school cover. This is a really, really cool cover. Also, I made the nuts joke so you don't have to. 1980. The first Ballantine Books edition. 5th printing. That's really cool. I do not need to keep this because I believe I already have it. Chris Dixon, Winter in Aphelion, The Adventures of Skari the Dreamer. Oh my god, that yellow on that blue is ridiculous to read. What were they thinking? Maybe it started out as red and it's just faded to yellow, but fuck me. I cannot read that. I have no idea what this is, but it's a brilliant work of fantasy by a young British writer, so there's that. But The Master of Solitude, Marvin Kaye and Park Godwin. Got a cool little cover on there. Just like a barbarian-esque cover. The city stood alone but invulnerable beyond the forest. None came out, and none could gain entry alive. The South Gate annihilated the foolish and unwary, till Judith came, young and beautiful. Garrick, master of the god of the Shando, could not believe that she was 300 years old. This is a nice science fantasy, apparently. I like sort of stories where they traveling to places where you shouldn't be able to travel, or a door opens that hasn't been opened in like 7,000 years or some bullshit, and people go through, or they're underground and they live their entire life underground thinking that that's the world, that's their entire universe, and then somehow they escape and they have a whole place to visit. Or it's a fantasy village and they're sort of trapped there, and they can't go any further, and yet they have no contact with any outside world, and they have to go on an adventure. Not like The Hobbit. Bit different, but you know what I mean? But this kind of, I get that feeling that this is maybe something like that. Pierce Anthony, Castle Rugna. I have this already. I got this one already. This one is a bit more trash, so maybe I'll keep this because I can read it. That's fine. Sell the other one. Dragonlance Tales, The Magic of Kryn. Volume 1. I can't remember which ones I picked up recently because I don't have them here, but this is volume 1. If this is like the first one in the series, maybe I should just suck it up and read it. I've got to figure out an order to read these books. It's got a bit of foxing and branding and stuff, so I don't know. It could be just a keeper, that one. The Dragon Realm, Ice Dragon, Richard A. Knack. It's probably just Knack. It's got a really cool cover, though. Look at that dragon on there. We got the Dragon Realm Fire Drake, too. So this is part of looks a little bit YA-ish from the 80s, but there's a few in this Dragon Realm series. Mark Chadbourne, World's End, Book 1 of the Age of Misrule. Hey, what's going on there? That's cool, though. You got a dragon just stomping on a car. Just like fantasy meets real world. 1999 this is from. As set in Britain. That's cool. Definitely going to keep this one, I think. Fred Saberhagen. Ari. Wow, what is with these names, people? Ariadne's Web. It's a really awesome cover. I'm keeping this one for the cover alone. That's really cool. But it's Saberhagen as well. It is book 2. It's almost a Bane, but it's not. It's a Tor. So, fairly recent, brand new, never been read. 2000. So that could be, I might look into that, see what's going on with that. We've got Forgotten Realms, Shadow's Witness by Paul S. Kemp. I have some Paul S. Kemp, probably from Forgotten Realms before. I don't know, man. I think the only Forgotten Realms ones I want to read are Drizzt. Is that even Forgotten Realms? I don't know. I think it is. But I want to read some Drizzt because everybody's reading Drizzt at the moment. So I'm getting FOMO. Catherine Kerr, The Red Werven, Book 1 of the Dragon Mage. I started reading some Catherine Kerr as well around about the same time that I was reading Sarah Douglas, and also the person that did The Ill-Made Mute. I read the first one of that and hadn't read any more. So I don't know what I read of Catherine Kerr. Daggerspell. Yeah. Daggerspell. But anyway, this is like a second set of fantasy, possibly. The Red Werven, maybe the third set. But anyway, let's go. Really cool cover. So it came out at that time, as they all sort of did, 1998. So, God Game, Andrew M. Greeley, When a Fantasy World Becomes All Too Real. Cool. This is like a video game. Yeah. In the midst of a complex computer game, a lightning bolt strikes and the incredible occurs. The player finds himself plunged into a colourful world of alien people engaged in bitter warfare. His people, accepting him as their deity, entering his dreams, invading his days. So it's like a isekai, which I don't mind. It's sort of been done to death now in anime and manga terms, but it was cool back in the day. .hack and .hack sign. If you know, you know. That was probably my favorite. Sort of like this. The Chronicles of Damar, The Hero in the Crown. Robert McKinley. It's got a really nice cover though. It's got a really cool cover. Hero in the Crown. What have we got in terms of... Okay, so this might be book 2. It could be a standalone, because the only other book mentioned that Robert McKinley has written is The Blue Sword. So... Okay, so apparently this takes place some considerable span of years before the time of The Blue Sword. So you could almost read this one first. This is tempting. It's only 240 odd pages. This one could be a keeper. I'm going to put that over to the side here. This has got an awesome cover, but I'm not going to keep it because it is only book 2 and I don't think I've got the other ones here. But it is Guy Gavriel Kay, The Wandering Fire. The Fionavar Tapestry book 2. Look at that fucking cover. There's a ship on it. You know, I like my ships, my ship fantasies with a Leviathan throwing down. Doesn't have hands, but he's throwing his gills. They're gonna catch these gills. But this is looks awesome. It's book 2, so I don't want to keep it. If I still have it and I find book 1, maybe I'll read book 1. We got the Mech, Steve Cash. One of the most astonishing, inventive, addictive fantasies of the year. Who are the mech? This is the cover anyway. Who are the mech? An ancient, mysterious, secretive race that has lived amongst us for centuries, their destiny forever intertwined with that of ordinary mortals. Here begins the story of one of them, revealed in an epic of gloriously colourful imagination. Yeah, doesn't sound terrible. 2003. Maybe. Right, Timothy Zahn triplet. Yeah, I already got this, so that's going to go in the pile. This one hasn't been read. This has got like no spine creasing, no page folds, very, very minimal wear to it. This is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Amazing cover. Awesome. Wish I had a couple of his others. I could bundle these up, so we'll have to maybe hold on to that for a while. Elizabeth A. Lynn, Dragon's Treasure. Very generic title, generic cover. So I'm assuming it's going to be fucking awesome. She's written a few. Cool. This one's from 2003. So there you go. Let me know if you've heard of this author. I've not heard of her. She's a World Fantasy Award winner. I've already got one of her books. I don't know. Elizabeth A. Lynn. But yeah, cool. Dragon Prince, Book 1. Melanie Rawn. Melanie Rawn? Yeah, this has got a nice cover. A generic title, but that's all right. I've seen this a lot. I have seen this one around a lot. Usually trashed, actually. Like very, always well read. Whether that's just poor book design and it just gets creases on it and stuff. But it's always well read. So that could be an indication that I should read this. 1989 or 1988 story, which is awesome. Oh, I don't know. Dragon Prince, Melanie Rawn. It's book 1, so maybe I could hold on to it for a little while. It's quite chunky though. It's like nearly 600 pages. But yeah. Baker's Boy, J.V. Jones, The Book of Words. I see these a lot. I see these in every op shop. I usually don't pick them up because, again, they're trash. Like this one's been heavily read. It's got spine curvature. It's not bad. And it's certainly, I could read it. Like you can read it. That's not the issue. But finding really nice copies that you want to keep on the shelf is very hard with this series. I've never seen a good copy, but I see them all the time. So again, that must be a very good book. She might be, this could be an absolute stunner of a series. I believe according to this, she's only written 4 books. So this is the first one in the Book of Words. So at least that's book 1. I was finding book 2 a lot, actually. So, yeah. And then second last, I have not read this, but I have read the first book in the series. This is Jane Welsh, book 2 of the Runespell trilogy, The Lost Ruins. I believe it was the Runes of War? War Runes? Runes of War. Yeah, Runes of War. It was really cool. I just remember there was like a big... Was he like a warrior? And they had his nephew or something, and they had this witch that they were trying to... that they travel with, and it turns out the witch was not really she was like an ugly witch, but she wasn't an ugly witch, and then she married the warrior, and I don't know. There was a dragon. They went into this cave, and there was like a dragon that was blind and just a munted dragon that they had to try and kill. But yeah, anyway, I'm sure I just butchered it and makes nobody want to read the first one, but I enjoyed it. They all live happily ever after in the end, sort of. So, yeah. This is a trilogy. I don't know what the third one's called. Yeah. Anyway, we got Chris Wooding. This is the last one. The Skin of Lament, book 2 of The Braided Path. I won't try and explain what happened in the first one of this one because I've not read it. It's a good enough excuse, don't you think? Chris Wooding. I'll try to read it backwards. Chris Wooding. Okay. What is book 1? The Weaves of Samir. book 1 of the Braided Path. Is this is it Eastern inspired? First published in Great Britain in 2004 by Gollancz. This is an Orion. Well, this edition published in Great Britain by Gollancz. Are they a part of Orion? Are they? Don't know. But yeah, it's Eastern inspired. Look at the map. The map looks really cool. There was a lot of maps in these. I should show the maps off there, but they look awesome. But yeah, Eastern inspired because you got one of them dragons there, so dead giveaway. But that's awesome. Yeah, that's it. That's the fantasy that I got. I've got double of that in science fiction. So until the next one, guys, let me know in the comments about any of these books. Any of these that you've read, any of these that look interesting or you think that I should read, anything that I should keep that I want to sell, but just let me know anything. But until the next one, guys, stay safe, stay happy, be kind to one another, enjoy your books, whatever they may be, and until the next one, be good.